All right, I'm just going to give it another minute as everybody gets through the door. So my name is Angel Orozco, and I am your sales executive for Fidelity National Title. And today we're going to be going over all about title and escrow. I highly recommend you guys interact in this class, ask questions, tell me your experiences, because that's how we're all going to learn together. So please feel free at any moment to jump in, ask me any questions, and I am going to put a disclaimer out here. This is the class that I normally do not teach myself. Normally an escrow officer is teaching this class. Unfortunately, my escrow officer today had an emergency and she can't make it. So I'm going to do my very best to teach this class. And if you guys have any questions that I cannot answer, I will write down the questions and get back to you guys at a later time.
Hi, Angel. I'm Georgeline.
Hi, how are you?
I'm getting you.
Good, thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. So I just had a question. I'm new to California and I practice in another state. So when you get to, or when you're presenting, can you please let me know, like, what should I expect? How California, or this part, Northern California, how is escrow and title services in the closing process?
Sure, that's what we're going to try to go over today. So hopefully I will answer your questions throughout the transaction. If not, just feel free to ask any questions along the way.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to share my screen with you. So first, I have noticed that a lot of people, like, I'm the sales executive, and a lot of people think that I'm going to go back and handle the transaction, but I'm not. We actually have escrow officers, our team behind me, that will process your transactions for you. And we as sales executives do our very best to place you with somebody who we think is going to match your personality. I'm going to ask you a few questions. You know, what do you like within an escrow officer? You know, do you need somebody who's going to answer their phone on the weekends? Do you need somebody who speaks another language? But whoever I place you guys with, you do not have to stay with them. We have about 7 different offices in Santa Clara County, and each office has anywhere between 3 to 7 escrow officers in them. So if I ever place you with an escrow officer and you're unhappy, or you just don't have a connection with them, please let me know and I will find another escrow officer for you. It's kind of like dating. You kind of have to find a few to see which one you really like. Not find a few, but go out with a few different ones and see which one you guys like. So if I ever place you with somebody, please don't ever hesitate to say, hey, Angel, this escrow officer is just not working out for me. Can I try somebody else? It's a very common and normal practice. All right, so let's go ahead and start. Today, we're going to go over the escrow process. The topics that we're going to cover today are what do we do? The information needed to open up the escrow. We're going to touch on the preliminary report and information needed from your sellers for a successful escrow. What happens once we're in contract, and the information needed from the buyer before the close of escrow. And we're going to touch on the sign off for the seller and the buyer, and then we'll briefly mention the closing day. So once we get started is once you guys have a listing agreement signed. That's when we start the process and your escrow team comes in and like starts generating the preliminary report. So what escrow does, we are the neutral third party. We take instructions based on terms of the contract and new lenders' requirements. We're going to prepare all the closing documents. We're going to record all the new documents, transferring title with the county of whichever county we're doing business in. We're going to disperse all the funds to pay off demands, invoices, and any commissions. And we work with agents as a team to keep principals informed and aware of status of the transaction. So once escrow is open, we prepare the preliminary title report. So us as the neutral third party, we cannot move forward unless both sides of the transactions have said, I agree, now move forward. Recently, we're coming into a lot of situations where buyers get into contract, they're having buyer's remorse or whatever it may be, and they're asking for their deposit back. I changed my mind. I don't want to pay this much for a house. Please give me my deposit back. We can't do that unless the seller says it's okay for us to do it. So we are the neutral third party. Just because the listing agent brought us the transaction, the listing, doesn't mean we're on their side. We're working for both the buyer and the seller as a neutral party. And the only way we can move forward is if both sides have said, I agree, let's move to the next step. And we're working with you guys as a team. So we ask you guys to keep us fully informed with everything that's going on in the transaction. For example, we recently had a transaction and we're getting ready to sign everybody off. We had no idea that the sellers were in a different country. The agent never told us and the sellers never told us. This created a problem. But if they would have just told us in the beginning, once they knew that they were in another country, we could have prepared the documents to be signed at the embassy, or we just could have been prepared for that and we would have closed on time. But because there was no communication, that didn't happen. We had to wait another 2 or 3 days to close to get everything ready. So anything that comes up, make sure you're letting us know what's going on.
Hi, Angel. Do you mind I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
Yeah, I have the exact same situation right now. One of my buyer is in another country. So, and we asked the buyers to sign the power of attorney at the embassy at that country. So does the escrow office need the copy for that power of attorney? And do we need that for our own transactions file as well?
We do need a power of attorney, and us as an escrow company, we need to create our own power of attorney. We can't just accept a random one that's out there. We create it for you, and then we have your buyer or your seller sign. And yes, absolutely, please let your escrow officer know this. And
yeah,
and they should be preparing their own, because for every sale that happens, we have to have our own power of attorney that we have created for your buyer or seller.
Yep, that's what we did. So our size buyer says absolutely have to return that signed one to the escrow office, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Anytime you're in doubt, just do it. You know that you can never give us too much information. If it's a question in your mind, just send it to us just in case. You don't ever want no issues at the right when we're about to close. So if you think maybe, just do it. If you give us too much information, it's okay. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Yep, that's a good line. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so once escrow is open, that's when we prepare the preliminary title report. So in Santa Clara County, it is the sellers who open up escrow. So if you're the listing agent, the moment you have that listing agreement signed, you call me up and you say, hey, I'm ready to open up escrow. However, if you go just one city away into Fremont, now you're working in Alameda County and it's a buyer's paid county, and it's the buyers who are going to open up escrow. But here in Santa Clara County, if you're the listing agent, you're the one opening up escrow. All right. So the information that we need to open up escrow. So the first piece of information that we need is really just the property address. We could find the seller's complete name, and then we're going to verify with you, is this who the seller is? But sometime throughout the transaction and as early as possible, we're going to also want this other type of information. So what is your seller's complete name? Once you have your prelim, you want to compare it, the prelim, to what the listing agreement says. Sometimes we will have just one party sign the listing agreement, but on the prelim, we see that there's two names. So you want to make sure on the prelim, whoever is the owner of the house is also the one that's agreeing to sell the house. Make sure the names match up. We're going to want to know, is this an owner occupied house or is it an absentee owner? Are they investors? We would like all their contact information, their phone numbers and their email addresses. And are they out of state? Are they out of the country? Again, if they're out of the area, please let us know as soon as possible. Names of companies or other parties involved in the transaction. So let's say you're working with a transaction coordinator. Provide that information to us, please, so that we could keep them in the loop of anything that's happening. If you're working with attorneys, if you're doing a 1031 exchange, all that type of information, please provide that to us as early as possible. FERPTA info, does the seller have a tax ID or a social security number? And again, exchange, will this property be involved in a 1031 exchange? So that's all that we really need to open up escrow. Existing loan information is going to be very helpful when we're requesting a payoff demand from the seller's mortgage company. So we're going to need their loan number. We are also going to need the last 4 digits of their social security number. And a lot of the times we're going to need authorization signed by them, just stating that it's okay for us to pull the payoff demand. Another important thing is there a homeowners association? A lot of people will send us over a property address, open up escrow for us, and they don't think about the homeowners documents that we have to order for you guys. So if you're in a condo, if you're in a townhouse, if it is a PUD, a PUD, more than likely they're going to have HOAs, and even some developments have HOAs. So ask your client, is there a homeowners association? If so, what is the name of it? Typically, most homeowner associations require an upfront fee. So we're gonna, us as the title company, we order them for you because we know exactly what you need. A lot of the times the agents will try to order it for them because they say, oh, I know what we need. But unfortunately, a lot of the times they end up missing something. So I would advise you guys to trust your escrow team to order your HOA documents for you. We're gonna be in contact with the homeowner to collect a check or give them the information that they need to pay online via a credit card. And then normally they take about 7 to 10 days to be completed. In this market, I'm noticing that some agents will open up escrow on a Friday. They're in contract on Monday, and they still don't have the HOA documents because they forgot that it takes 7 to 10 days to be complete. And that is the HOA's company turn time, not our turn time. Sometimes we get agents calling us every hour. Are the HOA docs ready? We have no control over the HOA docs. That's the homeowners association. So please just be aware that it takes 7 to 10 days and there is going to be an upfront fee, and it's typically around $350. All right, any questions at the moment? All right, so the preliminary report, it takes roughly about 48 hours. Sometimes if your property is in a different area, let's say it's in Monterey, it may take a little longer. So if it's out of the county properties, it might take about 72 hours. If you really need it, if let's say, sometimes it just happens, your client calls, I need to sell my house today, put it on the market tomorrow. Let us know that you're in a rush, you need this as soon as possible, and we will place a rush for you and try to get it back to you as soon as possible. But the normal turn time is about 48 hours. So the preliminary report shows everything that's recorded on the property, liens, taxes, easements, CC&Rs. I often like to compare a preliminary report to like a DNA report. So we kind of know what we are, but we don't know exactly until we actually run that report to see exactly what they what they owe or what's recorded on that preliminary report. A lot of the times, clients will forget about old liens or old judgments. They hope that they're just going to disappear. They're not. They're going to be there. So to find out exactly what's on a property, it's going to take a preliminary report to know that. We advise you to review your preliminary report and talk with your client to make sure everything is relevant, and alert your escrow officer for any red flags. So for example, we recently had a preliminary report come back, and there was 2 mortgages. There was an older one that was like from 1985, and then there was their newer one that they recently got. The one in 1985 should not have been there, but for whatever reason, it was never deeded off. So it's very important for you to take this report back to your client and check off everything. Do you have a mortgage with Wells Fargo? Do you have this child support lien that is showing here on your report? Your escrow officer will review the preliminary report. If she sees something that might take a long time to clear, we're going to let you know about any red flags. But ultimately, this is your job as a real estate agent to review this report and talk it over with your clients. If you have any questions, you could always call myself or the escrow officer. The escrow officer is the more appropriate person to call because they're the ones actually doing the transaction. They're the ones who do all of this for you guys. So it's your escrow officer that you want to ask, like, hey, what is this IRS lien? How long does it take to clear, or whatever it may be. However, if they're not answering, that's when you could call me and I'll do my best to answer the question for you. So you're going to want to check the vesting to ensure all the proper parties have executed the listing agreement. So just as I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that the ownership is the same people that signed the listing agreement. A statement of information may be needed if your client has a common name. These forms can be a little tedious. They're going to go back many years, and many different households. How, what are the last 5 years? Where have you lived? They're going to want to know all the addresses. Who were you married to prior to your current husband or wife? If your client has a common name, something like John Smith, more than likely they are going to be filling out a statement of information, and that's really just to clear their name and make sure that we're moving forward with the appropriate person. So the preliminary report, again, it's 48 hours. Let's say that you open up escrow, but you don't get into contract for 3 months later. At that time, you're going to ask us, please update the report because something may have recorded within those 3 months. So we're going to update the report once you get into contract, and then we're going to update the report again before we close escrow. All right, so more information that we're going to need for a successful escrow from your seller is what is their marital status of any principals. I recently had a couple. It was a couple on the preliminary report, but when they came to sign, it wasn't a couple, it was just the man. And we were like, well, where's your wife? Oh, we got a divorce. Nobody had told us this, and they never recorded it on the property. So you want to make sure you're talking to your clients. Are you still married? Just getting this type of information so that we're prepared. We had to send that client home that day and redraw everything and deed off the ex-husband. I don't remember what it was at this point, husband or wife, but make sure that you're aware of these types of things. I know sometimes it could be a little awkward asking these questions, but you as the professional, you need to know these things. Use of any powers of attorneys. So just as Tina mentioned earlier, she's using a power of attorney. Make sure that you tell us that as soon as possible. Has anybody passed away? Do we need to record an affidavit of death? Are we using any probate attorneys, bankruptcy status, liens, or judgments to be paid? So provide information early in the escrow process to avoid delays in projected closing time. And again, communication is key. You can never communicate too much to us. Even if it's not needed, it's better just to put everything out there so we don't run into any issues.
So Angel, sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
So I actually have a listing. When I order, well, through the title it's from Fidelity, just a different office, and I figure out it's the sole owner, but it's like a divorce. It says divorce something there, and if that person is going to another relationship, maybe engaged and married, like, is there anything I need to be careful about this relationship change, even she's the only one on the title?
No, if she's the only one on the title and she's selling it herself, no, she's not remarried as of right now, right?
She might be. I mean, it can happen anytime, but she's the only one on the title, and her fiance has another property. He's the only one there. So we're selling this condo, and as the sole owner, is there anything I need to be careful about?
No, if she's the sole owner and they're not married yet, no, I wouldn't think so. I could double check on that for you, but I don't see any issues with that.
But what if they get married in the process? Will that change anything?
It might. I don't know what it will change, so I'll have to get back to you about that.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Do you
But
need
yeah,
my contact?
I could find your information. I'm sure I have it. Yeah, I don't know if that would change anything. Because if they get married while she still owns it, he's going to own half of it as well. So there might be some issues with that. I'll look more into it for you, and we could have a conversation offline about that once I talk.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so once we're in contract, you as a listing agent, you're going to want to send your escrow officer a copy of the contract, the buyer's agent information, as well as their contact information, their phone number and their cell phone number. If you have the lender information, that would be great as well. Normally we get that information from the buyer's agent, but sometimes either party can have it. So whatever you have, send that over to us. Once we receive the buyer's contact information, our escrow officer will reach out directly to the buyer to receive wiring instructions so we can collect the EMD. A lot of the times the agents will say, hey, send me the wiring instructions. I'll give it to my client. We cannot do that. The only person that we could provide wiring instructions to are the buyers. And we're going to send them like a secure text, and they're going to go through our secure site to receive those wiring instructions. So we apologize for that, but for the safety of your clients, we cannot provide that information to you, the agents. So once we have the EMD, we're going to forward a copy of the receipt to all parties, including the lender. So we're going to forward it to the listing agent, the seller's agent, and the lender. And then more than likely, your buyer probably already received a receipt when they brought in the wire. Not the wire, but a check. And then we could also give them a receipt if they do send a wire. The lender is then going to step in, and they're going to start asking escrow for fees and a loan estimate. So some information that we're going to need from the buyer before the close of escrow. The buyer's agent needs to discuss with the client the following: how to hold title. This is something that your buyers are going to need to know. The escrow officer, like you as their agent, is unable to advise them on this. I can't tell you how many times I get phone calls and they're asking me, how should my buyer hold title? This is the situation. I cannot answer that question. As much as I want to even give my opinion, I cannot, for liability reasons. And just like you guys should not be answering this question, you should be referring them to an attorney or a CPA for what is best for their situation. I do have how to hold title documents where it goes over all the different ways of how to hold title and the advantages and the disadvantages. So if anybody wants one of those, it's really nice to have, and it's great to give to your buyers just as a point of reference. So if you guys want that, just let me know and I can email you guys over a PDF of that. Fire insurance, have the buyers look into this early in the process. Advise the buyer to give their loan officer the information to the insurance agent to add the fees for the loan estimate. A balance of funds to close, it must be a cashier's check or a wire. Your client cannot bring in a personal check for closing because personal checks take a few days to clear. So if we get a check on the day to close, we're not going to clear that check until at least 3 days later. So that's why we're requesting a wire or a cashier's check. You can bring in a personal check for the deposit. All right, and yes, I see your question there, and I will send that over to you later on today after the class. All right, moving on. Sign-offs of seller and buyer. So the seller is going to sign a few days before the buyer, typically approximately 3 days before closing, the buyer will sign loan documents. So the seller, we could pretty much sign off the seller at any time. There's some agents that get everything done as soon as possible and they want their sellers signed off 2 weeks before closing. We can do that if we have all the payoffs and everything needed back in time. But sometimes things change and we never want to charge your seller 2 times for the notary fees. So we like to do it, anywhere between, 4 or 5 days before closing, just to make sure nothing else pops up and they don't have to re-sign again. Approximately 3 days before closing, the buyer will sign loan documents and the escrow officer will contact the buyer for scheduling. Signings typically take place in our office. Right now we are open, we are signing. We just reopened in July. And we might have to close back down again just with everything going on, just to keep all of our staff safe. However, mobile notaries have been excellent during this time. They are very accommodating. They are wearing their masks. Some of them are wearing their gloves. They have clean pens. And they will accommodate your clients. So if your clients don't want them to come into their home, that's not a problem. If your clients want to set up a little table in the backyard or in the front yard, or meet at a Starbucks, all the mobile notaries are more than happy to do that. So we have not had an issue with us closing our doors to the public because the mobile notaries have been amazing. So again, right now we are doing them in our office, but things can change at any time. So once the buyers and the sellers have signed, documents are sent to the lender for review and funding, and escrow will send recording documents to the county recorder for review and recordation. Once the lender funds the loan and we have buyers closing funds, escrow can release with the county for recording to close. And then it's closing day. So once escrow has received confirmation of recording from our title department, we notify all the agents that the transaction is complete. The buyers now own their home. Seller proceeds must be made out to the sellers of record. And they will be distributed by check or wire to wherever the sellers have instructed to send. Something that I see coming up quite often is if your sellers are in a trust, they need to have a bank account in that trust name. So if they're holding title in a trust and they're telling us to send the wire to John Smith, we can't do that. We need to send the wire to the trust name. So a lot of the times we're asking the sellers to go and create a bank account in the trust name so that we can send over the wire to the correct place. A lot of the times the banks will bounce it back if the names aren't correct. So you want to, if your sellers are in a trust, you want to talk to them and make sure that they have a bank account in the trust name. Your escrow officer is going to pay all the bills. So any mortgages that need to be paid off. Sometimes we see cars, credit cards, taxes, liens, child support liens, whatever is on the preliminary report. We as the escrow office is going to be taking care of all those bills and sending all checks out the day of closing or maybe the next day once we balance the file. Commission checks are cut to the real estate agents and the brokers. We need a demand before we can cut any checks. So if the demand says, bring the check to Keller Williams office, but you called me and said, no, hey, just send me a check to my house, we cannot do that. We have to follow your guys' demand. So if you want something other than what it says on your demand, you need to go to your office and ask them to change the demand. And then we could give you, as long as they approve it, then we could send a check to your house or whatever you want to do. Excuse me. Closing statements will be sent out to the buyer, the seller, and the mortgage brokers, and the real estate agents once closed. So right now, it's a really busy time. And a lot of people are going to ask for special closings. So that means that we are funding and closing on the same day. Typically, we like to fund on one day and close on the next day. That's what a normal escrow is. If there's some emergency and something's happening where you're like, I have to fund and close today, try to plan that out. Try to let us know as soon as possible so that we can prepare for that. Maybe we need to come in an hour early to get the documents ready, or maybe we need to stay an hour late the next day, or whatever it may be, because your closing is not the only closing in our office. So, you know, there's some days where we have 10 closings and it's really hard to accommodate those types of requests. So the sooner you speak up and let us know, hey, I'm probably going to have to do a special closing today, or not today, but this week, can you guys accommodate this? We're going to do our very best. Like, we're here to serve you. We want to accommodate you as much as possible, but sometimes it's just not, it's not possible. So the sooner you let us know, the more likely we're able to accommodate your guys' requests.
I'm sorry, what is the typical turnaround time for funding and closing?
So normally we'll fund like on a Tuesday, close on a Wednesday. So we close one day after funding.
Okay, thank you.
But again, under certain circumstances, we call it a special. It's where we fund and close on the same day. But that's a challenge for us as an escrow company to do that. But we will try to do it to accommodate your needs.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. So closing day, we celebrate the closing. The sellers can call their insurance company, cancel their old insurance, the utilities, etc., and then it's time to celebrate. So just like you guys, we all want this to close. We are paid like you guys are paid. We're not getting paid unless this closes. So as a team, we're all working together to try to make this happen. And just as happy as you are, we're just as happy for you to have another closing and at the end of the day to all get paid, because that's what we're all here for, right? We want to get paid and serve our community. So we are in this together. We are part of your team. You guys are always welcome to reach out to us. This is my information here, my email, my phone number. I do have my escrow officer's information down below. That's just one of them. You're always welcome to reach out to us. If you have any questions, we're here to support you throughout your real estate career, and we would love to partner with all of you guys for your title and escrow needs. I'm kind of like you guys. I'm a little crazy. I stay up late. I work weekends just like a lot of you guys do. So if you guys are, you know, it's Saturday, 8 p.m. and you're kind of stuck on this title and escrow question or whatever it may be, please feel free to reach out to me. You could text me, you could call me. Don't ever feel like I'm an 8 to 5 worker because I work when you guys do. So please always feel free to reach out to me. If you guys haven't already met with the Fidelity rep or myself, we have a lot of resources that are designed to help you save money, save time, build your business. So in addition to closing your transactions, we're trying to provide classes that are valuable to you. We're offering you resources that will help you in your business. And of course, we're closing your transactions as well. So please always feel free to reach out to me. And then if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask any questions or make any comments. Let's see if I...
Do you have like a recommended attorney or CPA or like a list of them? If I was to refer the clients for the title?
I do have some that I can refer over to you. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, if you want to call me, reach out to me, we could meet and I could see what your guys' needs are, what kind of referrals you may need, what kind of resources you might need. We kind of just, when I meet with agents, I kind of just go over their business. I see if there's any holes anywhere that I could help you fill. And yeah, giving out referrals and recommendations is a huge part of my value. So anytime, you know, I need an exchange company, call me. I have a few for you. If you need a CPA, whatever it may be. I need somebody to help me do my mailers. You know, I need a company to print postcards, whatever it may be. I'm highly in the real estate community. So even if it's not title and escrow, maybe it's just about real estate, more than likely I'm going to have an answer for you. And if I don't, I could quickly find an answer for you. So whatever it may be, you're always welcome to reach out to me. So thank you guys for being here. I know I went through it kind of fast. Again, I'm not an escrow officer. Most of the time it's my escrow officer teaching this class, and she has more stories and insight for you guys, but I hope today was valuable for you guys. And if there's any lingering questions or something that you guys want to talk about offline, I'll be here for you. So thank you guys for joining, and I'll stay online just in case anybody wants to chat after. Have a great day. And then next class, I believe we're going to be going over how to read a preliminary report. So hopefully you guys will join us for that class as well.
Hi, Angel. This is Tina again. So are you going to, do we need to send you the email address for the title information? You said you have a document about all kinds of ways of holding titles.
I do. Yeah, if you want to just put it in the chat box, I could grab it.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And then not just how to hold title, but I have several different documents that will correspond with this class. So FERPTA information and who pays what. So I will send you not just how to hold title, but a lot of other very valuable documents that that you will find useful throughout your career. So yeah, you guys could leave your email address here, or you can call me or email me, whatever is easiest and best for you. So have a great day. If you guys need me, feel free to reach out. Thank you for coming here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I could give you copies of the presentation. If you leave me your email, which you just did, perfect, I'll send it over to you. And then Olivia, if you could just keep the class on for another minute or two as I write down all this information.
No worries, no worries.
Thank you. So the preliminary report class, George, is, let me see, it's going to be in September. Let me check what day it is. It's on September 2nd at 10 a.m. So we have about 2 weeks before that class. And then we're also going to be doing a closing costs class as well after that. I think that one's being pushed out to October, but we'll be having that one as well. You're welcome. Then Alice, my direct office is in Cupertino. However, I serve all of Santa Clara County. And if you want to give me your contact information, I have it here. So I'll reach out to you, Alice, to see if there's a time for you and I to meet to go over that. Okay, thanks, Olivia. Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Great class.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You guys looked amazing in your pictures.
Oh, thank
Hope
you.
you had a good time. Okay, see you guys later. Bye.
All right. Bye.